Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary. In this video, join me for a tour of my allotment in August. I'll show you the good, the bad and the ugly of allotment gardening. Firstly, an apology about the number of weeds. We've had some warm weather followed by wet weather, and that's really encouraged the weeds to grow, and I haven't had chance to give the allotment as much attention as I'd like to have done. I'll take you over, show you some of the beds. This was the bed that had broad beads in, and what I've got left in here is a row of parsnips, some Savoy cabbage that I've only recently planted, and some calabrese. Along this row, cauliflowers. Now most of those are blown, but I am quite pleased with this one. This one's a decent sized cauliflower, and I'll harvest that one today. This has been covered over with a net, so the weeds have grown amongst the brassicas. These are Brussels sprouts, just starting to form tiny sprouts in the junctions of the leaves. And next to them we have some kohlrabi. Over to this bed. This is mainly the squash and pumpkin bed, but there are some potatoes in the bed. They are potatoes left over from last year that I just left in the ground, and I've let them grow on this year to see if I can get a few spuds. Now I've got some Turk's turban squashes. They're just starting to form now. We have a courgette or zucchini. That one has grown really big, needs to come off, otherwise it will stop the plant from producing more. And this is a yellow courgette, and I've had no fruit off it yet whatsoever, and some of the leaves have gone crispy. Hopefully I'll still get some in the next few weeks, but not quite sure what's happened to that one. Now in this bed I planted some cosmos. It's a mixed blend of cosmos, some pinks, some whites, some purples. And they've done really well. They've been flowering for the last month or so, and I expect to get even more flowers. There's loads of flower buds still coming, and there's bees. Bees love these flowers. I do also have some alliums that have gone to seed. I think these were garlic and leeks. You can see they've got these massive big pom-pom flowers. There you can see the bee searching through the flowers, trying to get as much nectar and pollen as possible. In the central bed I've got some tomato plants and my green beans. You can see these are the crimson plum tomatoes. They've not ripened yet. They are starting to produce quite a lot of fruit. I'm pleased with how they've been growing. Another variety of tomato I've got growing is this Garden Leader Monster tomato. As its name suggests, it produces large fruit, but unfortunately there are some signs of blight on the leaves, on this plant. These characteristic brown patches on the leaves are the start of the blight. This is a fungal disease that's airborne, and when you get warm but moist air, that carries the spores on the wind and they land on the tomato leaves and infect them. Some tomato plants are resistant to the disease. What I will do is strip the leaves off this plant now and give the fruit a chance to develop. But I do have lots of other different tomato plants. Got some in the greenhouse, and here's another one of the blight resistant crimson plum tomatoes. Bee there doing its job, fertilizing the flowers. Next to the tomatoes we've got these dwarf French beans. Loads of beans on this. Should be picking those later. Still more to come. On the other side of the bed we've got the climbing French beans or pole beans. They're starting to crop well now. Got two varieties, Blue Lake and Cobra. You see they're starting to twist up round the canes, and within a few weeks this frame will be absolutely covered with beans. Now I'm going to share with you my sunflowers. They've not grown very tall as yet. Tallest ones are about 5 feet tall, starting to produce flowers. I don't think I'm going to have many tall sunflowers this year, but I am getting some that look like they're going to have multiple heads, like this one. You can see there's quite a few different flowers on it. I was a bit late in planting out the sunflowers, but I think probably by about September I should get quite a good display. And after all, sunflowers are a nice cheery plant and good to see in your garden. Over to this bed, quite a few weeds in this one, apologies for that. These are the sweet corn. They're very late. They are starting to thicken up now, and this is the start of the tassels that are going to appear at the top of the sweet corn plant. In this bed we've also got a row of parsnips. They'll be good for winter, and plenty of beetroot. They're quite big, these ones. They need harvesting fairly soon, but I am quite pleased how they've done. Now over to the jungle that is my flower bed. First I'll show you the calendula, these lovely bright orange flowers. They always cheer you up. And in this bed we also have some roses. Deep red rose. We've got this nice yellow one. Unfortunately there is a bit of bindweed growing up amongst these. I will need to have a go at seeing if I can get as much of that out as possible. Another plant that is really good, and the pollinators love this one, is the verbena. You can see the bee there really enjoying the flowers. Produces these really tall branching stems of purple flowers. Does self-seed very easily, so once you've got it, you've got it. Difficult to get rid of, but why would you want to? Also, we've got these lovely pink roses. These are highly scented. This has been covered in flowers for the last month, and there are still buds to come. Now into the fruit cage. Had quite a lot of red currants, picked a load of them, still some left, missed most of those last few, and we've got some red gooseberries, and I also have been picking a lot of blueberries, still plenty of those to come. What hasn't done well this year have been blackcurrants. Haven't had many blackcurrants at all, but I don't think the bushes like being moved. They are starting to produce a lot of new growth this year, so hopefully I should get a much better crop next season. Into the greenhouse. Down this side I have some more tomato plants. So I've got this variety called Piccolo, which is a cherry tomato, starting to produce quite a bit of fruit. It is starting to change colour, so hopefully should have some tomatoes from that soon. Next to that we have an unusual variety called Dark Galaxy. It has these patterned fruit. Haven't grown it before. Interesting to see how they actually develop. There's loads of fruit coming, and they have these sort of flecked patterns on the tomatoes. Then I've got this variety, which is a baby plum tomato called Lucinda. There's quite a lot of tomatoes to come on that. And next to that we have Sun Cherry, another cherry tomato, sweet cherry tomato, and a variety called Cascade Blue. So that will have a purple tinge to the tomatoes. On the other side of the greenhouse we have some pepper plants, peppers and chilies. This is a variety called Leader Monster Pepper. Haven't had any fruit off it yet, but you can see there's plenty of buds, so plenty of peppers to come. And a variety called New Ace. Here we have a type of chili pepper called Habanada, which is a non-hot chili. It's supposed to have a fruity taste, a bit like habanero but without the heat. Over the back we have an Apache chili that produces lots of little small red chilies, and an aubergine which is starting to produce flowers, so hopefully should produce some fruit. Over to fruit trees. Got some apples here. These are a variety called James Grieve. As you can see, there are plenty of apples to come on this. I will need to thin some of those as they are getting crowded, and if you want decent sized apples, best thing to do is to remove some of the extra ones. I hope you enjoyed that tour of my allotment in August. Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's Allotment. I'll see you again next time.